Welcome to the Holiday Podcast, where we sit over homemade challah at my dining room table on Friday afternoons. I'm your host, Tammy, priest, a Jewish follower of Jesus, and it's great to be with you today as we talk about the intersection of the Old and New Covenant. So today I have a lot of challah on the table. You can see 8 loaves right here. Now, I will be perfectly honest, I didn't actually make any more dough than usual. Just instead of 4 large braids, I made 8 small ones to share with friends coming over this evening. But it does actually look like a lot more separated into all those loaves. But anyway, this all of this challah made me think about something in Leviticus. And I realize that most people don't hang out in Leviticus, but I do. And one reason is that I love how it shows that God cares about the details of our lives, whether it's as individuals or as a community. But mostly, I love Leviticus because it's a shadow of all that the Messiah would come to do and to be. So let me share this passage in Leviticus 7 that I thought of when I looked at this mound of loaves rising in my kitchen this morning. If he offers a sacrifice for thanksgiving, he shall offer together with the sacrifice of thanksgiving unleavened cakes with oil mixed in, unleavened wafers spread with oil, and cakes of choice flour with oil mixed in, well soaked or fried. This offering, with cakes of leavened bread added, he shall offer along with his thanksgiving sacrifice of well-being. Out of this he shall offer one of each kind as a gift to the Lord. It shall go to the priest. So a sacrifice of thanksgiving, zavah todah. And these were offered by people expressing gratitude to God for all sorts of things, especially delivering them from danger or misfortune, especially if they've just made the pilgrimage to Jerusalem from a long way off. And this really speaks to the heart of the person making the offering, right? Because these aren't obligatory. They aren't required to address sin or guilt. They're completely an expression of gratitude toward God. And actually, it's a pretty extravagant expression of gratitude because if you notice in the passage, we see that in addition to the animal sacrifice for the Thanksgiving sacrifice, it also included bread, a lot of bread. So God called for 4 kinds of bread: the unleavened cakes with oil mixed in, the unleavened wafers with oil spread on top, unleavened cakes that were fried, and then leavened cakes as well. And the Talmud, the ancient Jewish commentary, actually records that 10 of each kind of bread was given as part of this Thanksgiving offering. So 40 cakes and wafers, 30 of them unleavened and 10 leavened. That's a lot of bread. Definitely a lot more than my 8 loaves, my 8 braids sitting right here. But here's the thing I love about this bountiful offering of bread. This zavah todah, this Thanksgiving offering, it's different than burnt offerings or sin or guilt offerings because instead of being burnt up on the altar or eaten by the priests, these Thanksgiving offerings became part of a sacred meal that the priests would actually share with the people making the offering. In fact, I love how one Jewish commentator talks about this. He said that the worshipers' experience of joining together with the priests in a sacred meal at which God himself was perceived to be the honored guest. A sacred meal at which God himself was perceived as the honored guest. When I read this commentary, I couldn't help but think of the 2 men who walked that 7-mile road from Jerusalem to Emmaus, talking about the rumors they'd been hearing that Jesus had risen from the grave and had been appearing to people. So this is how Luke describes it. in chapter 24. And they were conversing with each other about all these things which had taken place. And it came about that while they were conversing and discussing, Jesus himself approached and began traveling with them. But their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What are these words that you are exchanging with one another as you are walking?" And they stood still, looking sad. And one of them, named Cleopas, answered and said to him, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem and unaware of the things which have happened here in these days?" And he said to them, "What things?" And they said to him, "The things about Jesus the Nazarene, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word in the sight of God and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him up to the sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that it was he who was going to redeem Israel. Indeed, besides all this, it is the third day since these things happened. But also, some women among us amazed us. When they were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body, they came saying they had also seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. And some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just exactly as the women also had said. But him they did not see." And then a little bit later, Luke tells us, "And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them the things concerning himself in all the scriptures. And they approached the village where they were going, and he acted as though he would go farther. And they urged him, saying, 'Stay with us, for it is getting toward evening, and the day is now nearly over.' And he went in to stay with them. And it came about that when he reclined at the table with them, he took the bread and blessed it. And breaking it, he began giving it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him." It was at this meal, the moment when Jesus broke the bread, that they perceived that God himself, the Messiah, was there sharing this meal with them. The great high priest himself was breaking bread with them. So now, instead of mourning, they could be filled with thanksgiving, just like that sacred meal of thanksgiving with all that bread breaking with the priests. And what I love is that it was the act of breaking bread that opened people's eyes to the presence of God with them, which really was at the heart of the shared Thanksgiving offering meal, the Zavatodah, and really is what all these challah braids are about. Breaking bread with a group of friends who are committed to honesty and to caring for each other well, and inviting God's presence to challenge us and to grow us. We actually call ourselves the Uncomfortable Christian Discussion Group, and I'm very thankful for them, which is why I baked all this bread today. So on this Sabbath Eve, I hope you'll take time to rest and offer thanksgiving to God, and that like the two on the road to Emmaus, our eyes would be opened to Jesus' presence among us in unexpected ways as we break bread with friends and with strangers on this challah.